Welcome to Our Road to Success, the podcast where we chronicle our journey through this mad roadmap to the American dream. My name is Iggy Kid. I'm a professional freelance voiceover actor, musician, and writer, coming to you with my co-host.
Christian Hansen. I am someone who, like an idiot, does not have the show notes in front of me, but now I do. So the rest of my show notes for the introduction say I am currently someone chasing the dream of having the animation channel on YouTube going. So let's get this party started.
Yeah, let's get going with this. I've been listening to a lot of Howard Stern. That's my main thing, and right now I'm getting kind of antsy because it's currently Splatfest in Splatoon 2. Team Mayo versus Team Ketchup.
And I still don't have a fucking Switch to play that on.
Point about that I'd like to make is that it's Team Mayo versus Team Ketchup, and whenever there's a Splatfest, your colors are always kind of themed around that color. But since they're condiments, it's basically you are shooting that condiment. So there's a lot of, it's shooting mayo all over, and that looks exactly how you'd think it would. It looks like they're shooting blood and, well, you know.
Well, I can't wait to see how many people are drawing dicks in the middle of the map with that.
None so far. It's actually pretty brutal. It's been like really close every match I've been in so far, but yeah, I haven't been playing it too much.
Is when I first heard about that Splatfest, because Pearl is fucking mayo, I was thinking like, okay, most people like ketchup, and for some weird reason, most people hate Pearl with a burning passion.
She's a weird little goblin creature. Have you seen her? She's
fucking
like a tiny
rapper,
kid.
What do you expect?
There's
Rappers
also like
ain't supposed to be cute. They're supposed to be tough, homie.
the way you like if you see her face too, the way they like drew her mouth, her teeth look like she just has like empty gums, but like with like the divots where teeth should be. It's, I don't know. I think they're both friggin' adorable, but like they don't get any respect. Anyways, says here you're almost done with Breaking Bad. How much is almost done?
I just finished the episode where I think it's episode 9. It's Blood Money. It's where at the very end of it, Jesse throws all like millions of dollars like out the window and shit like that. And it ends with him being like interrogated by the police and shit.
I don't remember that one. Actually, honestly, I guess it has been like a couple of years since I watched through the show, but yeah, I don't recall that.
It's near the end, and it's like it's to the point where you get like the fucking neo-Nazi gang is beginning to get introduced.
Right.
I finished the part where Mike gets shot and dies, and I'm to the part where it's like, I think I'm only like 7 episodes like left.
Yeah.
Like it's
those
I
last.
only have 6 or 7 left.
It's that last 2 or 3 where shit really goes down. But yeah, that last season felt like kind of an afterthought. Because I feel like the show, like, the actual, like, satisfying moment was Gus. Like, once Gus was gone, it's like, these new guys, like, are kind of threatening, but they're nothing compared to what Gus was.
Well, you see, something I've noticed in the last season is it's not necessarily about the new guys. It's more just about, like, Walt's relationship with everyone and, like, kind of like the asshole he's really turned into. I mean, like... And that's supposed to be the thing of the show. And it's interesting you mentioned how this last season is kind of like because believe it or not, they weren't even originally going to do a 5th season.
Yeah, I can tell.
It was kind of up in the air, but like they never knew that, they would even like get the financing to do it. So at the very end of season 4, the reason why they had Gus die like right then and there instead of dragging him on some more is because they're all like, oh shit, we might be doing another season. We need to like have him die in some fantastic fucking way.
Which he did. That's probably one of the most effective death scenes I've ever seen.
My God, that
was
like amazing.
The ending, I'm not going to spoil it, but it is very like satisfying. And brings everything together.
I know the ending. I know the ending of
it's just
the show.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I can definitely feel that they didn't plan to go any farther past Gus because like if they had just ended on season 4, it's like Legend of Korra. Like, I don't know, I haven't watched any but the first season of Legend of Korra because the first season was just a solid ending. Like, it was perfectly encapsulated. I don't know where they could have gone after that, so I don't know.
My microphone, I'm like drinking something while like writing this down while trying to think of my thoughts and shit like that. But like, it's something that really kind of like a stark contrast I've noticed between this season and the rest of the seasons. It's like this season is like extremely uncomfortable. Like it's unsettling to watch.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a good way. I mean that like in a way it's like, oh my god, this guy's a fucking monster.
Well,
Like this guy is someone who
the thing about Breaking Bad has always been that Walter is supposed to be pathetic. Like the whole point is like even up to the "I'm the one who knocks" that line is not actually supposed to be meant to be actually intimidating. The idea is that he's so fucking caught up in his own bullshit when he's just like this pathetic fucking drug cook. Fucking acting like he's this huge mob boss to his wife like an asshole. Like, you're not supposed to sympathize with that. I don't know why everybody thinks that's such a badass line, because it's really supposed to be just like, look at this pathetic douchebag.
Like, it's taken very, like, if this were any other character than Walt saying that, it would probably come, well, any other character than Walt or Jesse saying this, it would come off as very kick-ass and crazy. But, I mean, it's like, I'm actually really liking the last season of this so far. Now, it's so different from the rest of the series, though, because the rest of the series, like, Walt is so... I mean, like, he's pathetic, don't get me wrong, but he's, like, you still want to root for the guy. You still want him to, like, win, so to speak. But here, because he's now the boss, because he's now in charge, and he's still doing all this horrible shit, he's still ordering people to die, he's still having all these, like, hissy fits and killing people just because. It's, like, the most disturbing shit. And one of the biggest complaints I hear about the ending is that like Walt just gets away with it.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, the kind of serendipitous thing is that their original like diagnosis for him that he probably wouldn't make it past 2 years still held true.
Yeah, it did. But it's like I don't know. I feel that because it's, as bad as it sounds, I did read the spoiler list like as I was watching it.
Yeah,
because I was just so fascinated with like what happened. I was like, oh my god, I need to skip forward. And it seems to me that the biggest issue, like, Walter doesn't pay for his crimes in the traditional sense. And I'm not to the episode where fucking by the way, it's for anyone who hasn't seen Breaking Bad yet, but I'm not at the part where Hank dies just yet.
right.
But it seems to me that the biggest like punishment that Walt receives is something that he would have not gotten behind bars, and that is just the realization that I'm a fucking asshole.
Yeah. The thing, let's step back for a second. The thing with spoilers, to me, is that people overblow the crap out of spoilers. To me, personally, I've never cared about spoilers really that much. And even if I did, it's like like 90% of shows and movies, getting spoiled does not really matter that much. It's not like they have a crazy twist or anything. It's just like, oh, now I know something slightly ahead of when I would have otherwise. And it's like... it doesn't really change stuff. And in fact, usually it's getting to that point that's being spoiled that's more important than the actual thing that's being spoiled.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny that I'm talking about Breaking Bad because I'll never forget what happened the night of the finale. So I was going to do what I never did. And immediately after the series ended, and she's all like, hey, Christian, Walter fucking died.
Ah.
It's like, fuck.
He's fucking dead.
He's dead. Fuck, man. Fucking dead. But at the same time, that's not really that big of a spoiler because from the beginning of the show, like they make it clear that
yeah, he's not gonna survive. That's pretty much.
I mean, even when his like cancer is like like he goes through chemo and it says he's doing better, so to speak. Like the doctor makes it clear that he's still never gonna fully recover.
No, definitely
so
not.
To speak. So
So
anyway,
yeah,
I'm just blown away to me on a personal level. I think it was a couple months ago when we did this podcast, or I think I talked about it in the podcast at some point. I actually, but right now I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah.
Like, he's not just an asshole. He's like a pathetic failure of a human being. Like, even when he is this massive kingpin, like, he's really only there because of someone else.
Exactly. He's like nothing without someone else because he doesn't have, honestly, kind of pulling it back to the show, he doesn't have the business side. He has the skill, but he doesn't know how to fucking utilize it.
Yeah, pretty fucking much. And it's like, I'm just... oh, God, I cannot believe that I used to look up to him. And I will get later in this podcast probably exactly one of the reasons why I looked up to him. And this is going to sound really fucked up when I get to that point. But let's continue.
Yeah, let's go to our current situation with an update on our weekly goals and ongoing projects. So, Christian, lay it on us.
This is probably where I'm going to talk about the more fucked up thing here, and I'm just gonna lay it on exactly like how horrible this thing that's been going on. So at the beginning of this week, as I'm sure you know, if you listened to last week's episode, I think I said something inspirational, like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this," and I was doing it. I was doing fucking great. I was getting up at like 4, so to speak. I was doing fucking polyphasic sleep, so I was only sleeping for like 4 hours a day, but I was doing it in such a way that I was like energized, and I was doing all this shit. Like I remember last week I mentioned that I was gonna have a bunch of drawings and shit on my Instagram. I had like a sketchbook just full of them. I was doing, Japanese practice and stuff like that. I was getting that in. I was getting my Spanish practice and all this other shit in. I was fucking doing all this stuff. Push come to shove about the money. I started finally doing it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna finally do it. And then here's when shit hits the fan, because I've never fully explained the horrible method. Yes, I've been doing sales, and yes, I did mention before in the past that, in a way, I've been selling pipe dreams and stuff, so to speak, and I never liked it. Like, I could never handle it. Full story is I, for almost 2 fucking years now, have been so obsessed with the fact that, like, I am broke, I'm poor, that I need to, like, do something horrible to, like, get myself out of this situation. So I, like, actually, just starting this fucking week, but, like, I would scam pervs and like posing as a girl and going on sites like fucking Chat Avenue and being all like, "Hey, look at me, I'm a girl. Here's some boobs, so to speak.
That's the
Could
voice
I
you
have
use
some
too, I'm
money?"
sure.
And it sounds fucking hilarious when you just I can't fucking do it.
Yeah.
And when I finally start doing it, so to speak, that morning, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And I was talking with some fucking like 60-year-old high school football teacher. It's fucking horrible. But I was sitting there, and the guy was trying to like tell him shit for free, like, oh well, I'm not gonna do it. Could you just send me tits anyway? Blip 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 blip.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that moment, I was like, what? Like seriously, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, I can't even. Like, it suddenly hit me that this is the reason I've been so depressed and sad, because I've been trying to make myself do this stupid shit for like 2 years, and it's like I'm not slimy enough for this.
Yeah.
I'm not slimy. And not only that, but like, even if I were, I'm smart enough to know that this is stupid as shit. None of these guys have any money, because if they did, they would be doing something with their lives instead of being on fucking online trying to talk with little kids to make themselves feel better.
Mm-hmm.
So when I realized that, even though things were going really well, beginning of that week, like, shit just stopped, like, completely. Like, I was so confused, and I just stopped. And it's a shame too, because I was doing well, but I don't know. I feel better now, today, actually, because I've just, you know what, we need to just move on. That shit's done. I'm not a terrible person. Like, I'm really fucking not. But like, new goals, new everything. That shit's behind me. And good riddance. So,
Yeah.
Your turn.
Yeah, so going into quite a few things this time around. So I had 84 orders for Proud of Goal, and I believe 6 of those came in just before the show, so I just barely made it. And I'm actually going to change how I count these, because the thing in the past, I just go off of the actual number of orders I've got. But the thing is, a lot of my orders will be multiples. It'll be like $15, $40. There was like a $40 and an $80 one this last week. So like, I'm going to start counting them by multiples. So if I get an $80 order, that's going to be 16? Count as 16 orders, because that'll be a little more accurate to my actual like earnings. And it'll be I generally get an average of 10 orders a day, but yeah, I'm just going to start counting them like that to I don't know, feel a little more confident about it, I guess, even though I am doing very well. In fact, I'm number 6 on the front page of VoiceOver now. So I'm
Congrats.
just below the top fold. I would have been on the top fold, but they changed things, so now there's like this whole like, what do you want? So that it'll put the tags in for you, bars. So now only the top
Get
4.
to number 1.
Yeah, I'm gonna get there, I'm sure. Like, I only have like 386 reviews, and everybody else within like 10 rows of me have at least 1,000, so I'm doing pretty well. Sound treatment, I put it in. You can probably hear the difference here. Installing it sucked. It took forever, and it was really hot because I had to do it out in the garage, and I live in Georgia, and it's summer, so yeah, it was blisteringly hot. I had to wear like a hoodie to like keep the fiberglass from just getting all over my arms and stuff, so I was sweltering. I drank like 2 like water bottles, and it was still real dehydrated feeling. And then after all that, I had been an idiot and forgot to realize that the table I use in here as a desk, it's just like a nightstand, doesn't fit because this is hard fiberglass.
Oh, God.
And it's 2 inches thick, so I couldn't actually wedge it in. And I eventually had to go out, cut the piece again. I cut it on the wrong side, so then I had to cut it again.
Oh, Jesus, that sounds fun.
So I adjusted it all, and it sounds great. It sounds so much more professional, and I'm very happy with it. Thankfully, it finally came out good. And I have a lot
How
left
long
over.
did it take you to do all that shit?
I forgot to check. Probably like only honestly like an hour and a half to 2 hours, but
Oh, that's
it
bad. That's
was-
I was expecting you to say like fucking 5 hours. So I mean, that's better than.
it wasn't actually that much. It was like 7. Like in the end, I cut up like 6 pieces of fiberglass and then just like duct taped some fabric over them so they wouldn't be just powdered fiberglass all up in my recording space. And yeah, it'll be easier when I can actually make my booth and do all that. But yeah, it sounds good. And the vlog I made was a mess because apparently my phone sucks at taking video, so all of the audio and video is desynced because the video itself is all like glitchy and just like the timing is all off. So I put the vlog up, but it's kind of a mess. And I don't know what happened in rendering, but the audio all got like, even on the part that I recorded voiceover wise, it just turned to garbage. I don't know what happened with Premiere. I'm still trying to figure that out. But yeah, I got it all in, and I'm glad I did.
Check the render settings in Premiere.
What?
It's the render settings in Premiere.
I use the YouTube 1080p preset.
You check the audio settings in that preset then, because like a lot of times they will like it kind of like the default settings for whatever reason is to like keep the audio like at a lower quality for some stupid ass reason.
Yeah, I mean, I switched it over to the Dolby Digital quality, and it still didn't work. I'm thinking it just changed the settings because I put in the camera footage first, and that was very low quality audio, and then I put that in, and then whatever you put in first is what it sets the sequence to. So I feel like it probably
I see.
pulled it down with it, but I don't know. I'm still like learning Premiere. I know some basic stuff, and I'm relearning some stuff that changed in CC, but yeah, I don't know. The vlog is up. Go
I'm
watch
one of
it.
those fuckers who like uses Sony Vegas and shit. So like
I had to make a decision whether I wanted to try and hang on to Vegas on my old laptop because I still had it installed, and I'm like, I can have that, or I can install Creative Cloud because both are gonna suck the crap out of the power, and it's just like, I'm gonna get rid of Vegas. I don't need it. I don't even remember how to use most of the stuff in it.
Creative Cloud. So I mean, why not? You know.
Yeah, exactly. I have a new mic as well. It's much more professional. It's an MXL 990, which is what I originally started with. It's a lot heavier because I'm actually using a desk stand again because I finally got another desk stand, which means that I have a lot more space in here. I don't have to crawl in like around the huge on-stage stand, and I can actually have a down mic over the monitor, which means I can see my entire script without having to like wiggle left and right around the microphone to check it. And I also got an LED strip light for like under a cabinet shelf, and I put it behind my monitor so it's not burning my eyes out because it's really bright, and it makes everything look kind of like the inside of an aquarium, but it works. I can read text off of a page. which is important because I started up those cold reads I was talking about, the Goosebumps cold reads. The things I'm noticing: A, Welcome to Dead House has very long chapters compared to the later books. Like, I don't know, I guess it's because it's more of a creeping haunted house horror rather than it's mummies and vampires. Like, they're a lot longer than I expected it to be, going in order here. But I have the first 2 chapters up on the SoundCloud and the Tumblr, which is thesoundofgoosebumps.tumblr.com. And I'm kind of staggering it, so I have I put the second chapter up today on the SoundCloud and Tumblr, and I put up the first chapter on my YouTube today, and I've scheduled out the next 2 chapters to go out tomorrow and then the next day. So YouTube will get them a day later than the rest and all that, but I'm putting them up, gonna see what happens with that, gonna see how many copyright strikes I get, because it's just full-on Goosebumps. But I'm having...
Does the guy who even wrote Goosebumps still exist?
R.L. Stine?
Yeah, when I say exist, I mean, like, I should say still do shit.
Dude, the Goosebumps movie came out like 2 years ago, and he was in it. He had a cameo. Jack Black played him. Did you see that? That movie was great. Are you kidding me? The Goosebumps movie was amazing. It was like... R.L. Stine, like, has, like, magic in his typewriter, and, like, all of the monsters can come out of the manuscripts, and they gotta go. They're taking over the town, so they gotta go. Was that?
Was that the plot of the movie?
Yeah. Did you see it?
That sounds fucking awesome. No,
it was
I didn't
great.
See it.
Jack Black played R.L. Stine.
Fuck! I never knew this.
It was hilarious. The writing was great. All of the like teen actors were actually really good. It was so good. The one thing that upset me, they didn't use the theme from the TV show once. Which was disappointing, but it's also a Sony picture, and Sony Animation, the writing sucks. They make like Minions and shit. So writing-wise, most of the Sony Animation's pictures are garbage, but their animation is actually fantastic. So like all of the visual effects, like the Werewolf of Fever Swamp in that is one of the coolest CG werewolves I've ever seen. And like the way they do the gnomes is like, they're solid gnomes, but they move, and it actually shows like close-ups. They just like kind of break to make their joints to move. It just like the porcelain like breaks and they move around with that. It's so cool. All these little details.
Well, it's like... I'm sure I mentioned in the last podcast, I've never actually read a Goosebumps book. So when I heard they're making a fucking Goosebumps movie, I was like... fucking chicken movie again. Like, not chicken movie. It's gonna be like that fucking weird Goosebumps chicken thing that I saw that one time. Or like on the cover, they have this girl's head on a live chicken.
I don't think they referenced that one in the movie, but they referenced most of the bigger books and like a lot of the smaller ones. There's like just mobs of monsters later on. They got the Shocker on Shock Street. I love that one. I don't know. I love Goosebumps.
Shocker on Shock Street.
Also,
the only other Goosebumps I know of is like I think it's like the amusement park of death or some shit.
Horrorland.
There we go.
Just like listen to Goosebuds, because if you haven't actually read it, like listening to Goosebuds would be the way to go, because they just recap them in like, you don't even need to read the books, just like, you could read the books along with it because it's like a book club, and then just like read the books and watch it, because they're all only like 120, 130 pages. They're really short, and they're written for like kids.
Yeah, it's
so
pretty
like
fucking short. Jesus Christ.
But yeah, Goosebuds is hilarious. Shout out to Goosebuds, all those guys. I love them. I love all their stuff.
I read something fucking daily, so why the fuck not? Tomorrow morning I will wake up. What's a good one?
My personal favorites are The Beast from the East and the Masked Mutant. That's a good one.
When you hear the word Beast from the East, I'm like imagining it being Beast Boy from Teen Titans.
It's like a giant hamster, actually.
Oh God,
like a giant
that
like
is exactly like
hamster.
Beast Boy from Teen Titans.
like a muscular like superhero, but like it's got a hamster head.
Oh my God, what the? These books sound amazing.
They're great. I love them.
Never read these?
Oh man! And also, if you want to get the books, go listen to me read them. I'm reading them out every morning as like a warm up.
Well, link me up to this shit then, homie, and I will...
Oh yeah, I'll do it after the show. The first book actually is not that great compared to a lot of the other ones, but yeah. Oh, Say Cheese and Die, all three of those are great as well. It's about a camera that they take it and it shows some horrible future that's going to be happening pretty soon. That one is fantastic. Let's see. So, moving on. My hours worked daily. I kind of touched on this last week, but I actually documented it a lot more closely this week. And I worked...
And very in-depth. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I worked approximately 20.7 hours over the last 7 days. So that's about 21 hours, so a little less than 3 hours a day. Considering I'm making about $90 plus for 3 hours of work, that's a pretty good, dollar to hour ratio. And the thing is, though, that's an average. Like, my day, today was very slow. I've only gotten, I think, 8, 9 orders, and they're all very small. And then, Tuesdays, I don't know why. Historically, every job I've ever had, Tuesday is always the busiest day. I've worked in movie theaters, I've worked at Starbucks, I've worked at a teriyaki place, I worked security, and now I'm working this, and it's always Tuesdays, the busiest day. I don't know what it is. But yeah, a quarter of those hours, 5+ hours, were just on Tuesday. Because
Actually,
Tuesday...
you know what I think it is?
What?
And I just sat here and I realized, okay, so Monday, people are getting new projects and shit like that.
Right?
Or new assignments, and they're always like, "Oh God, we gotta plan out what we're gonna do now." So I'm imagining Monday is the planning day, and then Tuesday is the day for them to actually move forward with it, and then Wednesday and Thursday and Friday is the day they actually finish it.
Yeah, the thing is a lot of them wait till the last minute to get to me. And that's really, I feel like a pretty poor idea because, most of them are going to have to work off of what I do. The voiceover is kind of the ground layer that they have to work the animation off of to sync it all up. So, it feels like to me, it would make sense for them not to rush it and wait till the last minute to get my voiceover, because they always do. And then they're like, oh God, I need a revision right now. It's well, I was asleep 3 hours before you even said that. So you should have given yourself a 24-hour buffer, because on Fiverr, and this is pretty standard, I have at least 24 hours to deliver to you. So you should assume I'm going to take the full 24 hours if I need to, and plan accordingly. I'll go faster. In reality, it takes me 5 to 10 minutes to do a standard order. But you shouldn't assume that I'm gonna be that fast. Anyways,
no, I get it. I get it. Well, I shouldn't say I get it because I'm not in your shoes. I don't know how it feels. Maybe I get that people are. I don't want to say shitty, but I will say not really thinking about you as a person.
Yeah, no, they really aren't. But yeah, that's just work.
Yeah, that is just work, and that's also people not understanding how creative endeavors work either.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Let's move on to our weeks with the total money made from projects since the last episode. I made $600 in completed projects, and I made 268 in active projects. Once those get completed, they will be added to that total. In fact, I forgot to update my running total. There we go. And you, Christian?
So for me, I made $5. And it sucked. It sucks. So the only reason why I made this $5 is because it's I mentioned before earlier in the show that, I was pretty much hustling pervs and sick bastards and shit like that. And what I was doing, and this is so slimy, is I was pretty much taking random shit I find off of Google Images, or random shit I find on porn sites, Pornhub, whatever. In fact, what I really did is I downloaded a bunch of videos and spliced it together to make it look as if this was one full video of one particular individual. It's to some people. I'm gonna saw some horny fuck faces, and it's I only made one sale, some fucking disgusting sick fuck of a high school football coach. He wouldn't even buy it. I never understood this. But it's are a super criminal. If you're gonna break the law, granted, the shit I was doing wasn't even breaking the law, believe it or not. But if you're gonna do anything bad, you get anywhere. I mean, you're really not. And this is it blows me away because it's I say this all the time in the podcast. Oh, you got to do good, and then here I was trying to not necessarily scam them, but just do something really shitty. So. Yeah, only $5 made, and I'm not proud of it. But anyway.
Anyway, so let's move on to our new projects. You have a lot more to talk about here, so I will just say mine real quick. I'm adjusting my approach to the Let's Plays because I kind of forgot. When I used to do them, they're called a day off with blank, whatever game it is. The original idea was that I would just take my 1 or 2 day off and I would record as much as I could, like in a 5-hour chunk, to just get as many Let's Plays as I could to go over the resulting weeks. So I'm going to go back to doing that because I was originally going to just like do it like one, episode at a time. And it's like, I'm not going to be able to keep up with that. So tomorrow, Sunday, I'm going to take some time. I'm going to be not only working on my demos because I need to update my demos and my Fiverr intro and stuff, but I'll also be recording a bunch of Let's Plays so that they can be chopped up and sent out onto my YouTube over the resulting days. So I'm going to be playing Manual Samuel, which I don't know a ton about, but it's basically you play a guy.
Sounds like a pretty fun game.
You play a guy where you have to control literally everything he does. You have to control his blinking, his breathing, like all of it.
I'm sitting here trying to think of a pun for manual. I can't think of anything, god damn it. Fuck.
And I'll be playing The Escapist, which is just like a kind of a strategy game where you're trying to escape from prison. It's fun. I've been messing around with it a little bit before I actually play because I prefer, like, a lot of Let's Plays now, they basically do it as like a react to this game. That's basically what Let's Plays are now. And that's not what I like. What I liked about Let's Plays was like, this is a game I really like, and I want to like share it with you guys. Like it's more of like a show and tell, like a book club kind of thing, where it's like saying something deeper about it rather than just like, that's a thing right there, and I'm gonna be a friggin' idiot and make a joke that isn't really funny, but it's funnier than nothing.
Hey, I mean, it's... I'm just trying to think of like a Let's Player that does a decent job of it, and then I was thinking to myself, like 99% of Let's Players are just like, this is the game. This is such a good game.
That's the thing I've been meaning to do. I've had this like idea for a panel in the back of my head for quite a while, but it's just like most Let's Players are either like a Markiplier PewDiePie kind of situation where it's like, I don't know this game at all. I'm not even really barely a gamer. I'm just gonna play it and like make doofy nonsense. And like eventually, if you watch these hundreds of hours, you're gonna stumble on a couple of good jokes because I mean, you throw enough at the wall, eventually something's gonna stick. Or it's the other side where it's like they know the game really well and they're really good at it and they love it, like a speedrunner. But they're so uncharismatic and it's like no fun to watch, which is why like SGDQ, the fun people are the ones who do like Pokemon or whatever, where they don't have to focus so hard and they can just like, work the crowd and be fun. So like,
it's so funny to me.
You want to be that happy medium.
I agree with you. I fucking agree with you so much. And I was actually looking at some that were just doing the worst fucking job. Like they were good at the game, but it's like they were so bad. They were so fucking bad. In fact, there's a really good example of one. I can't remember the game, but there's it was at like one of the AGDQ things. I think it was like the 2011 one, and the guy was playing the game, and he was just like, "Hey, okay, guys, we're playing the game, and as you can see, I'm really good at it, and everyone should go kill themselves." And it was so time. I don't blame him for trying to think that is like the way to do commentary, because you go on YouTube, there's so many bad commentators.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it's brain dead content to make. And really, because all that YouTube cares about is quantity rather than quality, as long as you can put out 2 of them a day, it doesn't matter if you're any good at it, you're gonna get, like, views.
Exactly, and it just... what's so funny to me is even the ones who, like, try and emulate PewDiePie or Markiplier and stuff like that, a lot of them fail to, like, do that, and they come off as that exact same speedrunner I was talking about.
Yeah.
Because now they're just screaming it. Now they're just screaming, "Hey, everyone, I'm a fucking asshole."
The only time it works is something like Game Grumps. It works because you got 2 people, so it's like one person can focus on playing and another person can focus on like making commentary and like driving a conversation, so that you can split the load between 2 people. And it's like a conversation, which like if you make a joke, even if it's funny, like like trying to make a joke in that format, like treating it like it's almost like stand up and like having no audience reaction to know whether or not your jokes are landing is ridiculous. Meanwhile, like something like Game Grumps, it's like that was funny. That wasn't funny. You can immediately get those reactions from the other person so you can keep going with it or stop. But like with somebody like PewDiePie, it's like most of his shit isn't funny. In fact, I'd say like I've never seen a single thing he's done that is funny. Okay, I saw one thing, but it was him doing stuff with Cry. He was doing stuff with Cry, and I like Cry a lot because he's actually humorous and he doesn't like he's not this try hard let's be full of energy. He's just like a chill dude who makes jokes sometimes. He doesn't like that's the people I like is the people who aren't like I have to be on constantly. They're just like I will just chill and play the game and sometimes I will make jokes.
Play the game, and I will make jokes. There's actually a really interesting analysis of the comedian Louis C.K. And the analysis it's by some channel called Charisma on Command, which isn't not gonna lie, it doesn't have the best content a lot of times, but this is a really good example of its good content from it. And he makes a really good statement where he talks about the reason why Louis C.K. is such like a celebrated comedian who's able to like make almost any stupid example of like just crappy bullshit of life like actually funny is because he doesn't just like he takes time to like put out the punchline. He takes time to like put spacing in between things to like build shit up instead of just barreling through one of these like PewDiePie type people do, where it's all like, "Oh my god, guys, the punchline is the game is so fucking bad. Oh, it's bad," or like the punchline is like, "Oh my god, guys, penises." You know, God.
Yeah.
The irony is, right now I'm pretty much exactly like that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's what like 5 cups of coffee will give you. So anyway.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do my business focus first because I know you're gonna have plenty to rant about here. So this is just what
will.
every single.
Actually, it just hit me. I didn't even talk about my projects.
Oh yeah, you didn't. Let's go back and do that actually.
Okay. All right. All right. So my projects, and I'll start with the one that I happened first. Sunday when I was at church, I mentioned last episode I did a lesson. I think it was like giving to others and like being selfless, so to speak. They actually liked that enough that I was asked to give like a talk on Sunday. The like how Jesus is the light of everything, so to speak. In this podcast, that I'm not the most not just religious figure, but like I'm definitely a very flawed figure. I'm definitely a very like just visual, and I've not been the most Christ-like by far. But I'm actually really happy to do this because it's giving me an opportunity for like 15 minutes. It's giving me an opportunity to just try and inspire people, put themselves away and just do something selfless and just actually, try and do better, try and be better people, which is at its core what Christianity is supposed to be about. So I'm very happy about that. And there's someone I'm reading about that I actually would love to talk about a lot in this lesson. His name's John Turnipseed, and he was a man who grew up terrible situation. Like he was. I think his dad was like a member of the Crips, but he was like first generation Crips, and so he had all of this like gang shit in his life. He ended up going to prison at like age 12 or 13 or some shit, I think it was. He ended up getting expelled from school when he threatened to kill his principal while he was high on drugs.
Wow.
He was a pretty fucked up individual. Like, I shouldn't say that, but like he was pretty effed up. And what stuns me though is in the middle of that, he was like he never had a meaning, so to speak. He never really understood what was going on. And so, unfortunately, what happened is when you have someone like him, a kid who's growing up and is just so extraordinarily, like, I don't want to say innocent, but I'm going to say vulnerable, someone who just lacks that speak. It's like, as bad as it sounds, the gang gave him that meaning, and he became pretty much like the top of the line at what he did. Well, shit he did. And when he ended up going, I think it was he made like national news or some shit, if I remember correctly, for doing something. Like, it was at that point he realized, I'm fucked, man. Fuck, my life is over. And eventually in prison, he just, if I remember correctly, this is exactly what happened. He called out to God and was like, just help me, save me. I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't want to be this way. And once again, I keep saying if I remember correctly, because like I've been reading like 15 different people, so I'm probably accidentally like getting their information in this. But like he was visited by some missionaries. He just decided, this is where my life needs to be. This is what I need to be doing. And it's I would love to talk about it. I mean, after this podcast, I'm actually going to be sending some emails to him to like, not just ask if I can like talk about him, be polite, but also just see if I can just get more in depth with his story. But anyway, that's just that. And then the other thing is that I want to do is much more art related. Webcomic.
Okay.
Obviously, if you listen to this podcast, you guys know I fucking like Pokemon. Like I love that shit.
Yep.
I forgot how much I love it until this year when I started like really getting into it again. Like, oh god, I fucking love this. So in the midst of my bouts of depression and wanting to kill myself and like lying to myself about this horrible fucking thing that I've been doing that I really regret, on red, fire red actually, so no one fucking cares. And I've been kind of like writing all this shit down, and I was thinking to myself, like, I could totally do like a weird ass comic about this shit, the typical webcomic internet based shit where it's like a comedy. So it's like Iggy, I'm sure you've seen a million of these where like you have all these people making like these animated videos of them playing Pokemon, but then it's always like just nonstop jokes and shit, right?
Yep.
Billion of those, and it's like I don't. It's not that they're not funny. It's just I don't like them because there's like I feel that one of the things games do that not many other mediums can is it gives the player an experience that's personal. I don't care what game you're playing, but like if you are in control, what you're going to be doing is going to be different than what everyone else is doing because you are the person in control. Even if it's a fucking linear game, all itty bitty differences that. How do I describe this? I don't know how to describe it right now, but pretty much what I want to do is rather than focus and make this comic about, funny Pokemon, I was thinking to myself, like, dude, I could totally make one and like have it be about just the fun and adventure and I guess a little bit of the silliness of this thing. And to do it, I actually picked up a couple books. I picked up writing comics by Stan Lee. I picked up a whole bunch of books about writing. I picked up a whole bunch of books about storytelling. I picked up like all this shit. And I was reading it. And I was like, okay, so this is how you make a proper comic. Okay, so you do this. This is how you properly tell stories. This is how you properly do this, this, and that. I actually have the first like 10 pages of the 27 next to me sketched out, but then at the same time it's like I don't know if I want to do it. This is a Nintendo property, and unlike the YouTube shit that I want to do, this is a lot more of a legal minefield because it's more directly about the IP as opposed to like the tournament. I mean, God, actually, I don't know. Iggy, you used to work with Nintendo. What do you think? You think they give a shit?
I mean, the level I worked at, I don't know. It's really hard to say. I mean, I think I've talked about copyright law on here. But you kind of have to contest stuff just to be able to hold on to your trademark.
Right.
And that's always a sticky situation.
It's a trick. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, I don't know. You see, that's my thing. It's like, I guess if I don't use their trademark, I'm a little bit better. But at the same time, it's like
the main thing is it needs to be transformative. It can fall under fair use as long as it is transformative enough that it won't impede their like ability to make money off of it. So like if you were making a webcomic that's just the direct story, then that's impeding on their ability to like make a webcomic of their own and make money off of it. But if you're making it where it's your own story using elements from their stuff, but elements that you've transformed enough to make your own so that no one will confuse your stuff with them, then that's there. Something, I mean, God, fair use comes up all the time in the stupid projects I've been in. The thing
We've been in too many fucking fan projects, as I'm sure you guys can tell.
God, the thing that like always irked me, and I got a definitive answer on this, was always the defense was, well, we'll make a nonprofit, and then they can't do anything about it. And it's like, well, I'm pretty sure that's not how it works.
I know, that doesn't do shit.
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
because I found out officially whether or not you make money off of it is not deterministic. There are people who have won fair use cases where they were making money, and there have been people who have not been making money who have lost fair use. It doesn't matter whether you're making money or not. What matters is if it's transformative, and what matters is if it's money that they could have made that they now no longer can make because you have used their IP in a way that they had not. Like, one of the examples that I saw was a guy had a photograph that he owned the copyright on, and another guy made a statue out of that photograph. Now the guy who made the photograph can't make his own statue based on his own intellectual property and make money off of it. That's not fair use. That was impeding him. So, that wouldn't be fair use, much in the way that the Fallout Equestria thing they were doing was... Their thing was like, we'll just change the names, right? And it's like,
we changed the names and we changed the style to make it look...
The style was not different enough. Nonsense. That's the thing is like, it was impeding on both Hasbro's, honestly, what if Hasbro and like Bethesda decided to come together and make a Fallout Equestria like crossover? Then they fully have legal rights to use that, and they fully have legal right to cease and desist you for using something that they could do.
Oh yeah. In fact, God, I'm actually close enough here that like
I think my main problem is you can't transform something with something as simple as names and something as simple as this and that, because it's too deeply entrenched in both IPs, and most of the transformative properties are coming from the other IP. The MLP stuff is being transformed by the Fallout stuff, and the Fallout stuff's being transformed by the MLP stuff. So you're screwed on both ends.
Well, you know, it's actually good you bring that up because I mean, to get back to my thing, that I don't want it to be some stupid comedy thing because there's enough of that shit on there. But you see, the other thing that gets me is it's like at the same time I don't want it to be some stupid fan work because like it's funny. It's funny that I say that when I'm trying to do something clearly based and kind of like in some way almost derivative. It is derivative. Because it used, characters and shit like that I don't own. But, at the same time, like, I want it to be, I want it to just, like, explore kind of like this childlike joy of just going on, like, an adventure in this just kind of, like, foreign area that's, like, full of all this just new shit, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And, and one of the reasons why I thank Bill for that is because it's like, I grew up playing this shit. Or at the very, growing up, I never actually had a copy of this because I was always broke and homeless, so to speak. But like, I grew up knowing the characters. I grew up, every time I go over to a friend's house, I'd play this shit, and it was so much fun. And we loved it, so to speak. And as I'm playing it now, I'm kind of realizing, like, there's a lot of just from a design perspective and from like almost like a role playing perspective. There's so much shit here that's just so fascinating. Like it's kind of like I'm playing it and it's kind of like I'm going like an adventure, so to speak. And I realize I'm going on a tangent. I sound like a fucking crazy person. And I made it something I wanted to make clear as I started this is I don't want the main character to be Ash or to be Red or whatever the fuck his name is. In fact, I actually drew something out where it's like, it's fucking me.
Sure.
Playing this, because that's exactly what it is. I'm playing this game, and it's my adventure, so to speak, and I want to record that.
Okay.
I think that right there is, at the very least, a step in the right direction, because it's pretty clear no one's going to think this is official when, like, the main character is some, like, blue jacket-wearing curly motherfucker who has, like, a hat that says, like, #1 or some shit on it. But, I mean, at the same time, though, it's just, I'm worried because I understand completely that this fair use is a very, very, very fine line that is really only applicable when you're being sued.
Right. That's the other thing, is that it's just a defense more than it is an actual law.
And not only that, but when I'm already planning on doing YouTube shit that doing would fall under fair use laws. I don't want to create a dilemma ad name with the company, because as shitty as it sounds, when especially when we're getting into the future, where like whether you like it or not, you can't even like record gameplay footage and put it up on YouTube without someone potentially suing you. I don't want to have a bad relationship with Nintendo or with Game Freak or whatever, because like a lot of people think, oh, their lawyers aren't going to keep tabs on it. Like, no, they fucking will.
Yeah, they have to. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, exactly. And so if I'm doing this and then I do some big YouTube thing where I spend a lot more effort on that, I don't want to kind of soil that relationship. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to end up doing this thing or not to it and just make sure that nothing will happen. Unfortunately, I can't email Nintendo or the Pokemon Company or Game Freak or whatever and just ask because...
Right.
Which... I don't know. You know, actually, what I might do is I might just like write up an issue and send it to maybe you, Iggy, and then send it to some other people, because you seem fairly knowledgeable on this shit, and whether or not they'll give a shit.
I mean, I can give you my best personal opinion, but I'm not a lawyer, so...
No, I understand that. I completely understand that. Like,
So,
you talk with, like, any lawyer, exactly what we just talked about. You know, like, you can claim fair use, but fair use is only if you're being sued. And truth be told, I'm sure this does fall under fair use, because I'm not making any money from this. Selling this, I'm not... Like, it's clear it's not even, like, an official thing. No game sales or anything like that, because it's not even, like, interactive. But it's, like, at the same time, I just... I can't describe it. But anyway.
Yep. Let's move on to business focus. We've done a lot of ranting so far about very many tangents, but yeah, I'll get through mine first here because I see another rant coming up with your business focus for this week.
Oh boy.
But one of the questions I get all the time, and it's one of the things that is literally just Google it. Like, I'll help you out, but seriously, it's just Google it. That's how I found all this stuff. How to set up an editing pipeline for audio. These are the main steps. You can mix and match, you know, depending on you personally, and like you just have to kind of play around and figure out what works best for you. But this is my editing pipeline because I had to set up a new one for this microphone. Because that's the other thing is, depending on the microphone, depending on the space, depending on the intention of it, you have to like adjust things. If you're doing instruments, it's going to be different. All of this, but for me, using a microphone like the one I'm using right now, an MXL 990, doing voiceover, this is what I do. First step is always noise removal. No matter how quiet the space is, your microphone uses electricity. That creates noise. There's electricity running through it, so you're always going to have to do noise removal. You cannot get rid of it 100%. Soundproofing is a myth. Then, after the noise is removed, you do your effects. I like Adobe Audition because you can just save all these into an effects rack, and then once it's saved, you just, every time, pick the one that you want for that one, and it'll just automatically put it in there. Once you're done recording, you just hit apply, it does all this for you. You can do this in any program. You could do all of the things I'm about to describe in Audacity, a free program. It's going to be a pain because you'll have to do them one by one, and it'll take you forever. But you can do it. First off, dynamics processing. The main thing here is making a noise gate, all right? That means just making it so that after a certain point, usually around -60 to -50, around in there, it just drops off the noise so that all of the like sub-bass stuff, all of the like, you know, very small sounds, all of the microphone noise that didn't get done with noise removal will be removed. You want to be careful because if you put it too high, or you make it too drastic, it's going to be cutting off the ends of what you're saying. So, light touch. That's the main thing with audio. Light touch. You don't want it to sound overprocessed, just gentle. You know, when you're doing equalization, shouldn't be more than like 1 to 2, maybe 3 decibels. Like, if you're going more than like 3 decibels, you better have like some very experimental stuff in mind. For a basic thing, just 1 to 2, maybe 3. Limiting, which will also be done with the dynamics processor, at least in Audition, but some stuff will just be called limiting. This is just setting it up so that when you're recording, if you're gonna clip, it will stop it right before it does. That's it. It stops you from clipping your stuff, which is useful if you're very loud or if you set your microphone to have no headroom. You should set it to have headroom. Right now I'm recording at about -15 to -9 in there. That's usually what I record at. I keep it fairly quiet so that I have plenty of headroom to work with. FFT filter.
Okay.
What I do for my FFT filter is I just bump up like 10,000 hertz. Just bump that up like a couple of decibels, and then I just roll off the sub bass. Because you don't need the sub bass. It's pretty much useless. Most microphones can't even like pick that up in your voice, even if you have it. And that just adds a little bit of clarity. Compression is the bigger thing. This is what will really set you apart and make you sound more professional, is compression. All this is doing is saying, this is the threshold, you set the threshold, then any sound that goes over that threshold, it will crunch it down by the ratio. So if your ratio is 3:1 and your threshold is -18, any sound that's louder than -18 will get crushed down by a ratio of 3:1. So if it's -18 and then it goes up to -12, then it's going to get crunched down to 2 instead. So that's all it does, is it just evens out all the louder stuff and it kind of bumps up all the quieter stuff to kind of even things out a little bit. Compressors are very important. Mine, I believe, is at about -18 threshold through 3:1 ratio. There's also a tack and look ahead time. It's just, for the most part, just leave that default. It'll usually have the best setting for you already. Mastering. This is just to get you like that actual like professional sound. What I do with it is I roll off more sub bass, roll off that bit at the top, and then just cut out a little bit in the middle of my voice to make it sound a little more professional. Something I had to set up for this mic because I don't have the windscreen and because I'm a very sibilant person who uses a lot of S sounds, which I'm trying to fix that. I don't know. I'm not.
I like it when you use your S sounds, though.
The thing is, though, if you use it too much, it starts to get very tiring to the ear. So for smaller stuff, it doesn't really matter that much. But for like audiobooks, it gets really tiring really fast. So de-esser, again, light touch. I went a little hard on it at first, and I had a recording where the S's were completely removed, and I sounded like the one kid with no front teeth from Stranger Things. So just be careful with the de-esser. Don't go too hard. Just light touch again. Then another thing is probably bump up your output gain a little bit. I usually go about 3 extra decibels, but that's just in the settings and stuff. Then hard limiting, that's literally just you slice off everything over a certain amount. I go usually -12.5, but depending on the audio, I'll switch it around. But just cut off like all of the like really big peaks. Again, light touch, you still want a little bit of dynamics to still sound like you're not a robot, but hard limit to just like cut it all off and like have a nice clean line so that when you normalize, it will bring everything up to, I do -3 because I heard at some point that that's the broadcast standard. I don't even know if that's true. I've seen a lot of people say you should just bring it up to like 98%, so just below clipping. But I just go -3 because that's what I heard one day. So just normalize, that's it. Stop it normalizing. You're done. That's all you do. Listen back, write all that down, take notes. That's it. You're good. You're going to have to adjust it for you and your mic and your space and all that, but those are the basic steps. Mix and match until you get what you want. Play around with it. That's it. I didn't listen to that for the longest time because I was really lazy. And I know you're probably being lazy too, because it is very daunting, but literally, just play around with it. And eventually you'll figure it out, because it's all really intuitive stuff. It just takes some time to figure out.
Right. So
your business focus.
Before I go on, like, I'm so stunned with the amount, because you pretty much just went through there completely. As how you pretty much just set up like an effective, and not just effective, but like pretty much just not effective. What's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? It means good, and it means good in terms of quality.
I'm not sure what you're going for.
You pretty much just talk about here's how you make good sound, so to speak.
Yeah.
Just Google this shit.
Yep. 100%. That's what I tell everybody is just, hey, all I did was research it.
Exactly. But what stuns me is that so many people don't do that. So many people don't do that, and they will just sit there all day and wonder, I don't know how to get effective sound. And then you'll hear these really bad voice acting auditions all over YouTube, all over, voice acting stuff, all over animation sites of people trying to get jobs, and they never understand that
I
they
mean,
need this
it's
sound quality.
out there,
They,
and it's like such simple stuff is like, and I opened my door, so I'm cutting down my audio quality a little bit, but it's way too hot to keep going with the door closed. But
my
like
quality's shit, so don't worry.
I God, I just hear so many people who are like, oh, my like computer fan is so loud. Then get your computer fan away from your mic. Like these obvious solutions, just like, oh, my laptop's really loud. Then get an external monitor. Move your laptop away from your microphone. Or like get like a
But it's
portable recorder and plug your
hard.
microphone into it so that you like you're gonna have to like read your scripts off your phone, which is awkward, but that's what you got to do.
Whatever. And you see, this is the thing that I think separates those who like want versus those who do. I've mentioned this cracked article on this podcast before, but really good podcast. A really good cracked article out there is 6 harsh truths that will make you a better person.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them, I think, is I can't remember what the name of the topic is, but one of the paragraphs in it was something like, a lot of people will say, I want to start a baking shop. Probably complete bullshit right there, because if you wanted to start a baking shop, you would sit there and you would read every fucking article you can get, every freaking how, every freaking, cookbook, every single thing about business that you can find, versus just sitting there and saying, I want to start a business, guys, but I don't know how. I don't know how to do this. And
Yeah,
in terms of you and internet voice acting, it's like there are so many people out there who want to be part of a big production, who want all this. They want, but they don't actually put the effort and actually do it.
well, the thing is, they don't actually want it. That's pretty much it. Because all it is that extra, like, 10% of effort on top of your other stuff. Like, 10% of your energy to just studying stuff. That's all I did. I'll break down exactly what my career in voiceover has been. 2012, I started listening to Rob Paulson's Talkin' Tune podcasts. I heard it, and I listened, and after hearing a few, I'm like, hey, these are just guys. These are just people who just do this. And it's like, I could do this. I could do this. I should do this. And that's where it started. So I just looked into every single thing I could about it. I've got every book from the library I could find that had anything to do with voice, not even just voiceover. I read like books on like vocal anatomy, books on singing that like taught me so much about how the voice works. I read books on acting. I just read like plays and scripts to like analyze scripts and stuff. I read this one really great book. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a great book on radio theater, where it was just like, here's how to make your own radio theater. Here's how to make the sound effects for radio. Like, here's how to make like horses in the rain, and here's how to like do this. And like the most disgusting sound effect that was ever created and was never used again was a body falling from a building from the sidewalk. And how they accomplished it was they dropped a rotten pumpkin off of a ladder onto a microphone. And it was the most disturbing sound anyone had ever created. And they never used it again because they're like, that was messed up.
You need to link me to that sound, because that sounds fucking gnarly
I don't know.
as hell.
It was in the, they just described it in the book. I don't even know where you could find it. I don't think anybody ever recorded it, but it's like, that book was amazing, just hearing all these things. And it was like, it went into voiceover, went into how to write radio theater, which is some nonsense because it's basically literally you have to write it to be tell rather than show, because you can't see anything. So it's like, oh no, he is stabbing me. You have to do that in radio theater because otherwise how are they going to know?
So that's true. So anyway, I guess now I should talk about my focus.
Let's get into it.
Let us do get into it. So, as I mentioned before, in this or earlier in this podcast, I used to be doing something horrible. The thing I was doing was technically legal. I mean, I even asked the fucking lawyer, and I was like, "Is this legal?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's legal. It doesn't fall. Believe it or not, it doesn't fall within fraud. I don't know how it doesn't fall within the leagues of fraud, but it doesn't fall within the leagues of fraud because I'm still using my real name,
Yeah,
my PayPal and stuff like that. It's just these are idiots doing this." Now, I never made much money from that, and I'm glad I didn't make much money from that. And if I made it big, and then it turns out that this is the way I used, like, this is the way I got started, that it was legal. It doesn't matter that it was this thing. What matters is how people are going to hear it, and they're going to hear God. You know what I'm saying? So there's this idea that I see perpetuated with everyone, where it's like, oh, money's money, guys. Oh, this person wants you to do this. Well, take it. It's money. No one gives a shit. And that is it really is. I mean, Iggy, case in point. I mean, I know that you're a very, I don't mean to bring politics up here, but you seem like a very liberal kind of guy.
Yeah, yeah.
How would you feel? Like, would you accept it if someone gave you $5 and told you, hey, you're going to be doing this for the neo-Nazi progressive podcast, and we need you to do an introduction saying "fuck every Jew and black person on the planet"?
Oh yeah, I've actually already had situations like that where I've had to refuse work because I could tell it was going to get turned into some offensive nonsense.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And, there's it kind of reminds me of how, this isn't what I want to talk about, but it reminds me of how not too long ago when they had the shootout in the grocery store Wise, how the person who did it had this huge YouTube trail of really bad animations, and one of the voice actresses in that just had no clue what she was doing. She didn't really look into the background of this. But just even being even if you're just doing it for the money, it's not going to matter, because people are going to hear that you're affiliated with this terrible shit, and that will ruin you. And recently, Iggy, I'm sure you know about Chris Chan.
Yes.
Christian Weston
yes,
Chandler,
I do.
famous creator of the comic Sonic Shoe. He has that he is very, I don't, maybe she's trans now. I'm not sure exactly what to say, because I'm still used to him being like homophobic and stuff like that. But
Yeah, who can keep up?
who can keep up? This guy's nuts. And he's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is this girl who he was obsessed with. So Christian was stalking this voice actress. Her name was like Doopy Doo over or some shit. Completely he was completely infatuated with her too. I mean, like on Twitter, you could hear her referring to her as, "Oh my God, darling, sweetheart. Oh, I want to be close to you," and just shit like that. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Pretty clear Doopy did not. I wish I knew a real name. I mean, I could easily boot up a real name right now, but I'm not in the mood to use someone's real name for this particular subject. Doopy was like, obviously weirded out and creeped out. You see, one of the things that kind of struck me as like wrong, it's just a really dumb thing she did, is she had a Patreon set up for her to draw not safe for work drawings. You guys don't know what not safe for work is. And one of the requests she got was Christian, who she was already having issues with.
Right.
And happened is when she accepted this, she obviously got a lot of blowback, because Christian has a lot of baggage to him. I mean, we talked. I mean, me and Iggy, we kind of talked before the podcast, and we brought up how Christian has tried to kill people in the past.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about how he's said some extremely just horrible, racist, homophobic shit. Like in one of the issues of Sonic Shoe, he actually ends up killing all the gay people by putting his blood into the water supply.
How the fuck that's supposed to work?
I don't know, but apparently that killed the evil homos. But he's just he's and I say this as someone who, I really don't think he's bad. I just think he has a lot of issues with him. He has a lot of baggage to him.
Yeah.
Amount of baggage to him. And even just the fact of the matter that she is sitting here drawing something for this person, kind of like that got a bit of blowback already.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the blowback includes that, the channel that she does voice work for, it's now being, at the very least, last time I checked, it was getting spammed by a lot of, people being like, haha, Christian, lol, fag, Doopy's gonna go fuck this person or shit like that. Which, I mean, just happens when you do anything for a famous person.
Right.
And this is why Trump had issue finding people to, play at his, inauguration, because no one wants to be affiliated. No one wants that baggage. She didn't think about that, though. And, to her, money is money. I'm going to do it just because I accept any commissions. And she did it. Not a terribly wise thing to do. But what really blows me away is she accepted it when she knew that this guy was crazy.
Right.
She knew that this was. It's such a bad thing to do because I mean, United States law has pretty much made it clear that unless you're outright discriminating against someone based on like age, race, gender, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you're allowed to say no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Say no.
And in fact, according to current laws that have changed recently, now it's totally okay to discriminate against people based on sexuality because religious freedom.
I know it's really dumb. It is really dumb, but I mean that's just how it is. I mean you're allowed to say no.
Yeah.
And you're especially. And
We
I don't
reserve
think
the
there's-
right to refuse service, as you see on
Exactly, and-
every convenience store.
Yep. Even if you have the chance of getting sued because oh my gosh, this person might be black or something like that, which I know so many business owners were like they just hire someone whiny and they end up getting sued for some stupid reason. But like the big issue, it's not big issue, but if someone is causing a ruckus,
Right.
causing an issue, or like they're causing a fucking riot or some shit, you have every right to kick them out.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why of celebrities getting kicked out of like restaurants and stuff like that. Not because they're breaking the rules, so to speak, but just because their overall presence is causing like a disruption. It's causing people to freak out.
Exactly.
When it comes to Chris, she should have said no because this, like, as bad, as horrible as it is to beat Chris, like, he has a lot of baggage to him. Like, he has infamy to him. Like, even being affiliated with him at all is going to cause issues. But the biggest issue is that he was already kind of perving on her, and here she is now drawing porn for him.
Yeah.
Image right there. Now, the good news is, and I say this as someone who's never met her. I've never even met Chris, for that matter. I don't really want to. But, like, apparently she has finally caved and just blocked him outright, which is something she should have done since day one.
Right.
Here comes up and calls you darling, sleep with me. Hey, block that guy. But like, it's such a great, yeah. So sorry, listeners, my connection is refreshed. But like, this whole thing is such a fantastic example of like why you should not accept any request. So with artists, especially internet artists, there's this really stupid idea of like, if someone pays me, I'm gonna do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And that is such bullshit. I mean, like, imagine if you are like imagine if you're an artist, okay? And
Right.
you became an artist specifically so you could draw pictures of Jesus, specifically so you could do like religious work, so to speak. And someone comes up to you and is all like, can you draw Jesus sucking a dick for me? I'll give you $50. Be a wise decision at all to take that money.
No.
Representative of it wouldn't, but for so many artists, they see that money and they're always like, ooh, let me grab it. And they grab it. To get back to me personally, would it have been wise for me to continue doing this stupid shit that I've been doing?
Probably not.
It wouldn't. Is that I was even doing it to begin with, but I'm done with that shit. Like, in fact, I'm actually glad I never succeeded at it because it's like, even if people found, like, even if no one found out, I don't think I'd be able to live with myself because it's just so disgusting and slimy. But yeah, no, just because someone offers money does not mean it's a good idea. If it was, we would all be fucking meth dealers right now, like in Breaking Bad.
Exactly.
So,
Okay, so we're running pretty far on this one, but let's move on to our plans with our goals.
like every fucking episode, though, like we always get into depth, and it's good because it makes it a fun show to listen to.
Yeah, content, woo! So, our goals for the week. I'm shooting for 80 orders on Fiverr again. I can probably surpass that with the way that I'm going to be counting them now, but just going to stick at 80 now until I can get a good idea of what the new counting method will yield. I'm going to want to have 2 weeks of Let's Plays scheduled. So, let's see. I'm probably going to stick to... I'm not sure. I'll probably stick to like 2 episodes a day, since that seems to be what YouTube, like the sweet spot with YouTube to keep stuff going. So that'd be what, 20, 28? Yeah, that'd be 28 Let's Plays. So 10 to 15 minutes. That's what, 7 hours? I could probably record 7 hours before we record next. So, yeah. So,
Eh,
2 weeks of Let's Play is scheduled, and my new demos and intros, which I'll be recording tomorrow. Which it's been quite a while. I've improved quite a lot in terms of just my performance and my actual like space. So it will be a much better thing. And next time around, I'll actually like edit it in to give you guys an idea of what I did with my demo and all that. So those are my goals for the week. Christian, what do you want to get done
Sounds good
before
to me.
next episode?
There's a lot of stuff I'd like to get done for next episode, but I think for next week especially, obviously I have those things that I haven't done for fucking weeks. Those are there. I'm not going to bother repeating those because it's something that I would love to do next week is, I mentioned before that I'm never going to do that horrible shit that I was doing again. I want to focus more on actually building people up rather than just selling shit just for the sake of selling shit. There's a lot of sites dedicated to this. I mean, I mentioned before that we have affiliate marketing and stuff like that, which I've done a little bit before in the past.
Right.
And there's a site that I'm probably going to use called PaySpree. They have some products, stuff like that. I can just go on there, get an affiliate link, and then just get straight to selling. And I'm going to be probably doing this via Facebook. I'm going to be doing pretty much cold calling, but the digital equivalent of it.
Okay.
Like, in fact, if you guys did any political activism this election, you've probably heard of face banking.
Okay.
Similar thing. It's like phone banking, except you do it via Facebook. And
I gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. So pretty much you add people, you talk with them, you chat with them, you go in groups, and you pretty much use that to prospect people. It's pretty much how it works.
Okay.
Pretty much how it works. So my goal is just going to be make $1,000 next week. Because, I mean, like, the thing is it's like I have done so much research into like psychology, so much research into actually selling, not just selling, but like, cold calling, so to speak. I'm sure we've all seen The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie. Jordan Belfort.
Beautiful.
Psychotic genius.
Absolutely.
But a genius. And I've actually listened to his seminars about how he did it. And I could definitely do that shit. It's just I've been so obsessed with that I'm not even gonna fucking do anymore because that's just not me. But I'm going to make that. And obviously on top of the shit that I've done beforehand, animation shit that I've been like I keep saying I'm gonna do this, and I never do. I want to have scripts for at the very least 4 episodes of things. Maybe not completely typed out. They can be rough. They can be shitty. I don't care, but they need to be there, if that makes any sense. I just don't have the actual scripts and shit. And without the actual scripts and shit, you can't really make an animatic because you can't give voice actors, here's some things of what you're supposed to say.
Right.
Supposed to be improvise. Like, that's not how this shit works. You gotta write out the shit that you're gonna send to the voice actors and then send that to them. I mean, has there ever been any examples of people just like, I don't know, sending things to voice actors and being like, there's no script, improvise?
Oh, all the time. I mean, not with Fiverr as much, but like so many of the auditions I've done on like the audition sites that, it's all these volunteer roles, and it's like, we'll pay if we make money, which, I mean, I doubt they even will because there's no obligation for them to.
I shouldn't say the audition. I mean, like, the project itself.
I mean, sometimes that works. The thing is, you have to have a good feel for each other. Like Mega 64, how they do most of their stuff. Like when they do their actual like show, which they make DVDs of, what they'll do is they'll basically just make like bullet points of just like, okay, this is where we need the scene to start. This is where we want to end. And these are like points that we want to hit along the way.
Right.
And then that's it. And then they basically just improvise it from there. And they all just play their character the way they best know. And they all have chemistry because they've worked together for so long and they've known each other. The problem is, that could probably work with like an online production, but it has to be people who know each other. And that's the problem, is a lot of times people try and make stuff like that happen, or they try and make like a thing where it's like, here's a group of people and we're going to do a thing together. But it's like, these people don't know each other. They're still like meeting each other. A lot of times they end up not liking each other very much because, as it turns out, they're from totally different social groups and they don't mesh well at all. So it's like trying to make that with people who you've just randomly picked is not going to work really well at all. You need to have some kind of chemistry and familiarity between
Oh,
the
absolutely.
people working to make something like that work. I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying it would be very unlikely that it would be very good.
Well, you see, and that's actually one of the things that happens with a lot of with internet, that happens with a lot of internet-based projects. And the thing is, with most internet-based projects, is it's not to say that they're all bad, they're all unprofessional, but 9 times out of 10, they're kind of amateur in the sense that like no one really has a proper feel for what to do. No one, like very few people making internet content have like an actual experience working with more professional things like TV, whatever.
Right.
So you have that issue of people who don't really understand that teamwork in a team production is everything.
Exactly.
It's not going to work, especially when it's fucking volunteer based. Because we talked a little bit at the project we were working on last, me and you. And I remember day one of me getting back in there to be their director or something like that. I get this message. And by the way, they begged me to come back and be their director. And I only came back out of pity. Day one of me coming back, someone messages in the team and tells me I'm a fucking gay piece of shit and I need to go fucking kill myself because I have no talent and I'm a fucking loser.
Wow.
Now, I did it. Now, obviously, much worse, but like, could you imagine if this were anyone else? Better yet, could you imagine if this was an actual, like, they convinced to do this for free, and then the first thing that happens when he comes in is that happens?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it doesn't work. If someone's being an asshole in a team, you need to get rid of them. You need to have synergy. You need to have an actual like understanding a group together. And unfortunately for me, with the shit I'm doing, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, I'm not too terribly well connected in the voice acting world. And not to sound mean, but with most of the people I know who do voice acting, not too many of them are the quality I'm looking for.
Yeah,
Sounds
most
really
of them.
rude, but
Most of them suck. That's the thing is like you either get 90% of them are either they have good audio but they suck. They're terrible actors. Or they have horrible audio and they're a great actor, but you can't really use them.
Exactly.
Or they're terrible and they have a terrible setup. Or like me, I have really good audio. I'm pretty mediocre as an actor. Whatever,
Anyway,
I'm getting better.
But I do like because we have been going on with the show a little bit further than normal. I have to go in just like a second.
Okay, well let's wrap up then. I mean, our goals for the quarter are the same as always, and our future projects haven't really changed that much. So yeah, let's just wrap up with the moral of the episode real quick.
So actually, for mine, because I originally wanted to say something kind of sort of pessimistic about, business and so to speak, but there's something stronger I feel like saying here. And that is, so to Okinawa, because Okinawa, as you know, is like, I'm sure you don't know this actually, but it has lived to be the oldest there. Like these fuckers like sometimes live to like 110, 112,
Wow.
like 40 years more longer than you would expect average human to live.
Right.
And the person asked him, like, how are you living this long? Because it's not just they're old, but a lot of them are still working. Most of them are still working. Not only are they working, they're working like hard. Like they have a fisherman, they have a fucking like laborer. They work hard. Even though they all had an ikigai, which in Japanese kind of it means something like, your reason to live, so to speak.
Okay.
And for some of them, their ikigai was like, I want, like the fisherman, I need to feed my family. They interviewed a beauty parlor owner. I want to provide beauty to people, and so to speak. And you see, they all had their reason to live and their reason to work. And something I actually did as I was in this podcast is I wrote down my ikigai, which is push what's possible to the limit and inspire the childlike joy and adventure in people.
Okay.
And I'm going to put this on my desk. And I actually would love for Dan, because if you don't have a reason as to why you get up out of bed every morning, you're going to be living a pretty miserable life. So.
Okay. Well, honestly, I didn't have a moral, but now, honestly, I could probably say what mine is for that, which is just not to, like, be rooted down anywhere. I don't want to have, like, ties down to any specific geographical place. Like, I have like roots in Romani, the Roma people, gypsies, if you want to use the slur. I mean, it's not any worse than like Eskimo, but whatever. And that nomadic aspect of that culture has always like stuck with me. I've never really lived in the same place for very long, and I've just always moved around. And like the thing I've always liked is that I don't like to have to live in any one place very long. I like to be able to go wherever, and that's the beauty of what I'm working with, and exactly what I want out of it is that I can go wherever. As long as I have an internet connection, I can do this job from anywhere in the world. I've basically rooted myself well enough into the voiceover stuff online, and I can do even more. And then it's like, because it's all online, I can go anywhere in the world. As long as I have all of this equipment and just like a place to do it, like I could do it from a hotel, I could do it from wherever, as long as I have, all that. I could do it. I could send files off of my phone if I can't get like an actual Wi-Fi and I only have 4G. Like, I could go wherever and still do this, and that's really what I've wanted to do. So I don't know if that's really immoral, but that ties into yours anyways. So that should do it for our road to success. So we'll talk to y'all next week.
Yep. See you guys.
Thanks for listening. Our Road to Success is a Just Fall production, created under a Creative Commons Attribution and Share-alike license. This means you can use any part of the show in any way you like, as long as you credit Iggy Kid, Christian Hansen, and Just Fall Productions, and make your product just as accessible. You can find Iggy Kid on Twitter at DapperJackery or on Fiverr at fiverr.com/IggyDKid. You can find Christian Hansen on Twitter at ChrisHansen1994 or on Instagram at Instagram.com/ChristianHansen1994. Our Road to Success can be found on Twitter at OR2SPodcast, on Facebook at Facebook.com/Our Road to Success Show, through email at OurRoadToSuccessShow@gmail.com, or on SoundCloud at SoundCloud.com/OR2SPodcast. That's it for this week on Our Road to Success. Remember that everyone has their own road. We know you'll find yours. Happy trails!